Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We have a Ladies' Day. Good to see you both, of course. It was a really, really difficult weekend with shootings happening all around the country. We had some in Orange County, California at a church, in Houston, Texas at a flea market, Milwaukee, and of course in Buffalo, New York at a grocery store. Police say the suspect in the mass shooting in Buffalo that left 10 people dead had plans to continue his rampage at another store had he not been stopped. The shooting is now being investigated as a hate crime, and we're learning some chilling details. Police say the 18-year-old shooter traveled nearly 200 miles from his home to Buffalo to target a store, a predominantly black neighborhood. He allegedly wrote a 180-page manifesto that was posted online just before the attack, describing himself as a white supremacist. And he live streamed the shooting on social media. Now, the suspect, who we will not name or show, did plead not guilty. I hate sounding repetitious, but I would love to know what you both thought when you heard the news and how you're taking it and processing it now. Linz, what'd you think?
I mean, I was just sad. I was kind of in shock. And then also it was in Buffalo where my sister went to college. I'm from New York. People that I saw, the victims, they reminded me of people that look familiar. And so like neighborhood people. And then the more I heard about their stories and what they did for the community, I was just like, you know, the fact that this kind of hatred still exists just makes me sad. I read something from Amanda Seales that I wanted to share with everyone and give her credit, or posted by a man named Keith Joseph. And it said a white supremacist drove hours to open fire on black people at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. Looking over our shoulders for racist attacks, navigating daily microaggressions, and trying to still enjoy life simultaneously is not an easy task. Continue to protect your spirits, hearts, and bodies. Keep joy close. We are a vulnerable and impenetrable people. And that's how I feel. You know, my daughter turned 9 months this weekend. I had a beautiful weekend. It's hard to just remember every day the constant, even if it's small, microaggressions, and then the larger people actually dying because of their race. And then also look in the eyes of a beautiful black girl and say that everything's gonna be okay. It's just tough.
A lot of conflicting emotions there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're in conflict with, you know, here's the thing. People constantly get so aggravated. Like, one of the most common things that I get, like, in my comment section is, oh, it's about race again, as if I'm the one who's making it about race. I'm talking about things that are happening in our world. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, you are a part of the problem. You are the reason why people feel emboldened to go out and do these heinous acts, because think about it, he live streamed it, which tells us what? There is an audience for this content. And if you aren't stepping out and saying something, like, I'm always like, so these things are happening in the world, but I'm your number one aggravating factor by saying that they happened? Yeah, it's you. You're a part of the problem. And I think anytime we sit around and act as though we aren't responsible in some way, there are things that we can all be doing in this moment to speak out against racism and hatred and violence. But if you choose to go after the people who are doing the work, that's on you. That blood is on your hands. So just remember that every time.
Well said. Speaking actually of social media and what you were talking about and what we can do, a lot of people were talking about social media. What role does it have in these hate-filled crimes? New York Governor Kathy Hochul says these companies need to do a lot more. Take a look at this.
There's a feeding frenzy on social media platforms where hate festers more hate. That has to stop. These outlets must be more vigilant in monitoring social media content.
And I want to make it clear, when we discuss things like this is a part of the problem. This isn't everything when we do little bits like this. But it was live streamed on Twitch. It was taken down, I believe, within minutes. The manifesto went up. The person said he read a lot of social media. What do you think the role is, and is there a role? I think there's a role. I think there's a strong role against hate speech, since a social media company is not the government, so there's no freedom of speech issue.
I think first it's important to say how you feel, because if I saw this happen at a mosque, Erica and I shared our perspective, you know, I would say how I feel. So how do you feel when you saw this weekend? Because I know that you are somebody that's an ally and also have the space and should have the space to discuss that. And I think it's important that people who are not black say how they feel.
I totally hear what you're saying, and I appreciate you giving me that space. The first thing I want to say that is today is a good day for anyone left, right, center, white, black, yellow, red to denounce the replacement theory, to denounce white nationalism, to denounce white terrorism, to denounce what happened, and especially if you were not black, which I was thinking as well. I also happen to think at this point, I go straight to where I go, which is guns. And I know, again, that's a spoke on the wheel of this situation that doesn't happen in any other country. It's not video games, guys. They have it in other countries. This is the only nation this continually happens to over and over and again. So if you want the freedom to have guns, then we're not allowed to go to the grocery store or have the freedom to go to mosques or synagogues or supermarkets or any of that. All that freedom is gone. I'm tired of it. I'm numb. I'm scared. I'm scared for my friends. I'm angry. And no one does anything about it. Nothing.
And I think with the conversation about the social media piece and who looks over that, I think it's important that to know how long he was planning this attack or how long he was saying hateful things, and whether you say that's up to the government to decide and look over who's posting what on social media. In the same way, if you say something defamatory about a president, they'll find you immediately, find the white supremacist immediately, or the owner of the social media company, whoever it is up to, that content is there. And I would prefer, I don't know about everybody, to know who my enemy is in plain sight as opposed to them hiding. So if they're gonna tell me they're doing this, this is a direct line to catch them. And so I think that everybody can look at this and figure out how we can do better when somebody's virtually laying out a plan to kill people because of what they look like.
What do you think, Erica?
Well, I 100% agree. I mean, we keep having these conversations and everybody wants to have them in such a comfortable way. There's no way to have these conversations in comfort. You know, I'm thinking about everything that's happened over the past few weeks, and the idea that people are starting to understand what it is to be a marginalized person, because guess what? Now you are too. I mean, when we're talking about Roe versus Wade, now welcome.
Welcome to the conversation.
Yes. Now you see.
Right.
But here's the thing. When we're talking about Roe versus Wade, and now, you know, white women are very much like, and I mean, everyone obviously is saying this is not right, this is unconstitutional, you know, it's autonomy over our bodies. But black women, brown women, marginalized women have been having this conversation for quite some time. Poor people have been having this conversation for quite some time. So I'm kind of asking people who are looking at this situation and thinking, well, this doesn't affect me and doesn't apply to me. It's not far away from you either. I mean, look at the demographics of this country. We are going to be predominantly brown in our lifetime. What does that mean for you? What does that mean?
That's yeah, this country, there's a lot of I just have a lot of anger, and I know everyone goes to a different way, but I have a lot of anger at this country for being how great it is and how much I love this country and how patriotic I am about this country. Why we continually have this and nothing happens seems abominable to me. Authorities released the names and identities of the victims. They include retired Buffalo police officer Aaron Salter, who was working security at the store. And may I just add, he shot at the suspect, but he was wearing tactical gear, so he did not end up killing or harming him. An 86-year-old named Ruth Whitfield, who had just stopped at the store for something to eat, and 77-year-old Pearl Young, who was a grandmother and ran a food pantry for 25 years. They are just 3 of the 10 people who lost their lives. Our thoughts and prayers are with their family. We'll be right back. Closed captioning provided by Daily Blast Live is always focused, always on cue, always ready, always timely. This May, don't miss a day. DBL is all new every day.
Stuff like that, that's edited as photos. pose that tell. So if you want to see.
Hey, so I was looking through some of the victims.
Okay.
A lot of
Yeah.
people posted them
Okay.
on their pages. Some of them were people that were driving, or one of them was someone that was driving someone to the grocery store and does that often
Okay.
every
No
single day to
worries.
help people
I thought he
that don't
said you
have
could add
cars
whatever you want.
to
He
get their
might be
food.
adding
One of them was an
No, I know.
activist in the
It's so
community.
high. Can you check
You know,
it
these are
out?
just people that are like
you try to
reminding
go
me
over?
of like
It's right back there.
people that I love. You know what I mean?
So
Grandparents,
high.
aunts, cousins. They were young, and the fact that he drove so far just to attack these people is just like insane. That were just doing their day on a Saturday.
That's
Kinda,
what I was
broke
thinking.
my
Is like I don't know. Now Patton Oswalt was like, now you can't go to there's nowhere to go where you don't feel what you said is I'm looking, or that person said, I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm also trying to just enjoy being present. That is, there's no way you can do that anymore. No way. And I'm wondering, what's happened then to the American dream? Is it gone? Because a lot of you are writing in, yes, Tori, this is the only country that this continues to happen over and over again. It's sickening. I mean, you see Australia, New Zealand, they shut up the mosque and automatic weapons were banned. Immediately, they brought back and bought them from the government. So I have a lot of problems with this country, even though I love her so, so very much.
It's crazy. Like, we were at dinner, my in-laws were in town, and, you know, they're from Canada. And I was talking about how, you know, my husband will get, like, very upset, like, you know, at traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly being like, okay, you need to calm down, because I think there's a privilege involved in the idea of him being from Canada. Like, they'll get out of the car and maybe have a fist fight. Here, we could get shot in our car.
For
So,
sure.
like,
That's the
it's
first
the
thing you think
two
is
different
gun.
things, right?
Welcome back. I just want to acknowledge, because the show is super honest, we're going to change gears here, so please take a breath. We're going to move on to something a little more uplifting. Did you watch the Billboard Music Awards last night? If not, we've got a little recap for you. Diddy was the host and had some very strong opinions on who should perform. He posted this message to his Instagram last night. Take a look at this.
I made a request. I made a demand. I said my brother Travis Scott has to perform. Diddy's hosting the show. I'm executive producer, and he has to perform. And NBC said yes.
Last night was Travis's first award show performance since the deadly Astro World Festival last summer. But Travis wasn't the only controversial musician to take the stage. Country star Morgan Wallen also performed. Last year, the singer was caught on camera using the N-word and was then barred from attending or performing at several award shows. So what do we think of the whole thing, and also what do we think of this uncancel the canceled from Diddy? And is it Diddy? Is it Sean Puffy? Is it P. Diddy? He's changed. I want to be right. It's not
What day of the
Snoop Lion.
week is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Love. Yeah, that's
yeah,
another
remember
one.
that?
Uh-huh.
What do we think about him trying to uncancel the canceled?
I thought the variety that he chose, Morgan Wallen and Travis Scott, you know, there's a lot of people that got
Tamika
canceled.
Mallory, I mean, there were some.
And so I think it was good, because a lot of people are complaining that we went too far. We don't provide any type of road for atonement or redemption. And we're just like, you're done, you're done. Like, even if people actually want to do better and learn from the communities with which they offended, we just like, no, you're done forever. We don't want them to have an income for their families or eat again. And I think Diddy was like, no, I'm about to show you how this is done. These people are actively doing the work to try to do better, at least for Travis Scott's part. I think he's being quieter than he was before, which is a good thing. And Morgan Wallen said that he wants to work with the people and learn about what he did and atone for what he did. So I think we need to provide a space for them to continue to make money doing what they love to do, and also keep them accountable to make sure they're doing the work so that something that they did in the past does not happen again.
Fair.
Yeah,
Is this the pendulum kind of, can I do it? Woo.
Swinging. See, I still am of the school of thought that as long as you have a fan base, cancellation is not a thing.
You've said it's
Because,
impossible.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about it from a lot of the people who are the most vocal with a lot of the cancel culture, sometimes didn't even know who these people were until something happened, you know? So if they still have a fan base behind them, then they're kind of moving slowly in silence, but it's very loud in their silo, you know? So I don't know. We'll see. I think we definitely need to have those conversations. Obviously, my whole brand is the comeback. So I've talked to people who, you know, have done or have been in situations where they've learned from them and there is a road to redemption. I don't think we put everybody in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a sailboat, there's a yacht, there's a canoe.
Yeah, some people need to be on a dinghy. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, you know, that's what it is what it is at this point.
I also, and I'm trying very hard on this platform to take back the word canceled or woke, because I think it's been weaponized and used incorrectly and unfairly, and I think it's wrong. And I think as long as they're held accountable and there was consequences, like Morgan Wallen for sure, and had to give money to the NAACP, he has to really repent. I would like to see a little bit more coming from him. Travis Scott, but I like that the accountability is there and we're coming back. I just don't like canceling someone and saying no, but I also don't like saying you can't cancel them because it's cancel culture. That's a no for me.
And you're providing a space for people that follow, let's say, Morgan Wallen to say, you know what, I'm open to having this dialogue also, as opposed to being shunned for agreeing with maybe what he did or said. Maybe they'll be like, okay, well, if the person I love to death is saying they are atoning for this thing and this is the way they're doing it, maybe I can open my mind to have a dialogue with my friends instead of shutting people out, because that's what we need more of, conversations in this country as opposed to not speaking.
Like this show. Y'all see how good it is?
Exactly.
Like this show. Thank you. Coming up on DBL, we talk with Erica Jane. Yeah, from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. What other cast would she join if she had the chance? We've got the exclusive.
New Profile Pic is a popular new photo app that uses artificial intelligence technologies to style your social media profile picture. A viral claim shared on Facebook questions the app's data collection, privacy policies, and ties to Russia. Verified viewer Ben sent us a video asking about those claims.
Hey Verified, this is Ben, and I was wondering about the viral claim that's going across Facebook about the Profile Picture app, and if any of the claims on it are true.
So we reached out to these sources to get answers. Here's what we can verify. New Profile Pic's founder, Richter Sazin, was born in Russia, and the company has some offices in Russia. A spokesperson for Line Rock Investment Ltd., which developed New Profile Pic, confirmed in an email to Verify that the company currently has offices in Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. We can also verify that the new profilepic.com domain was originally registered in Russia. Using Whois, a public domain database that houses information collected when someone registers for a domain name, Verify was able to track the change to May 11th. On the left is a screenshot of the website's archival data from around 8 a.m. that day. It shows the domain was registered to a Moscow-based address. But when we checked again around 8:30 p.m., the registered address for newprofilepic.com was changed to Florida, which you can see on the right. A spokesperson for the app confirmed that the change was made in response to viral claims about the app's ties to Russia. And finally, we can verify that New Profile Pic's data privacy policy isn't particularly unique. According to the company's privacy policy, the app collects, quote, your name, email address, username, social network information, and other information you provide when you register, set up an account, contact us by email, or use our services, unquote. We compared their privacy policy to Pixar, TikTok, and Facebook, and they're all pretty similar. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
She's pretty tough and says the strongest substance on earth isn't a diamond child, it's actually her. Earlier, we caught up with Beverly Hills housewife Erica Jane. Take a look.
So first and foremost, we got our celebrity guest co-host, Mary Lou Henner here. You got a question about Broadway for her.
Yes. So Erica, you and I not only both know Lisa Rinna, but also we both did Chicago. I was like the first person in. I know you did it. Did you have a great time? And was it always a dream of yours to be on Broadway and to play that part?
Number one, it was always a dream of mine to be on Broadway. It was such an honor to be in a Fosse show because I just love everything about Fosse. Love Lisa Rinna, love you. And so that was, yes. And
yes.
That was
practice.
I feel like every performer should really go do a musical and then call yourself a performer because that is 8 shows a week brutality. And it is wonderful. Best time of my life.
Bravo.
Speaking of Bravo, I'm a Bravo-holic.
Well played.
The Bravoholic on the show. So I am curious because obviously we know you from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That's how us Bravoholics do. So with everything that's going on, you know, from your personal life last season to this, are you having any second thoughts about being a reality TV star?
No, because a lot of great things have come with it as well. And I think that when you put it on balance, there have been more positive than negatives. Yes, this is a tough time in my life, but I'll get through it. And I think that there's more positive things on the horizon.
So most of the cast faced some hard times this season, plus some difficult moments with each other. Is there a specific moment that maybe you regret the most?
Well, I could give you a list.
Good answer.
I think what I regret the most is becoming frustrated and raising my voice and then not being able to explain myself the way I should. And that happens. But that's part of the game as well, and I have to roll with that. You know, I know the truth, and I know what I'm trying to say, and that will come forward.
Yeah, you know, listen, we're all looking forward to see what happens. Now, who from the Beverly Hills cast are you currently friends with?
I'm friends with most of them. Yeah, but here's the thing about Housewives. Just like in life, you're closer with certain people than you are others just because you may connect on different levels. And, you know, we do have beef with each other that hopefully gets resolved. So right now, maybe I'm not so close to like 3 of them, but I'm close to the others.
I feel that. Now, it's weird. I get this question a lot because I've been doing stand-up forever. So I'm going to ask you, because everybody goes, what's your favorite city? If you had to join another housewife cast, which city would you move to? Because I know I'm going to New Orleans.
I'm going home to Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. ATL. I'm here for it.
Wait, you joining Real Housewives of Atlanta? Because that's the tea.
What did you say?
Is that the tea? Give us the tea.
I said the tea because if you join Real Housewives of Atlanta, I would change my whole schedule.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I'm born and raised in Atlanta. 0 to 18. So that's like my whole family's there, and so I would just be going home.
Yeah, and all the old boyfriends would be coming out. The teachers.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Yeah.
And for a viewer, let's hope so. And for the viewer, yeah.
Erica, have you ever brought this up to Andy Cohen? Do you think that you could ever make the switch to Atlanta?
You know, my life is in Los Angeles. I think Candy the other day said she gave a few people that if they could come to Atlanta, and I was one of them. You know, I don't see myself going home, but, you know, never say never. Watch me be moving next week.
I know, right? And if Candy gave her blessing, I mean,
I was going to say, if Candy's your ally,
yeah,
that's all you need.
You know what? Candy, Kenya, those women, they've been very kind to me and very supportive during this time. And so thank you to there have been a lot of people that have been really kind.
Well, thank you, Erica. We appreciate you. DBL Nation, you can catch the new season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Wednesday nights on Bravo. We'll be right back. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you, guys.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Herd immunity, aka community immunity, is when enough of the population is immune to a disease to make it spread from person to person unlikely. For a long time, it was considered our way out of the pandemic. But 2 years in, let's verify. Are we still aiming for herd immunity against COVID-19? Our sources are 2 top infectious disease doctors, Dr. Amish Indulja and Dr. William Schaffner. Diseases like polio and measles are not the public health threat they used to be because of a community immunity to them.
With herd immunity, we have viruses that are usually pretty stable, and once you get infected or get vaccinated, you have long-term protection.
However, this coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, plays by different rules.
The virus mutates in a way that gets around our immune system.
Meaning the virus changes too often for the herd's immunity to keep up.
This virus comes from a family of viruses that routinely reinfect us every year and cause 25 to 30% of our common colds. So we don't have herd immunity to other common cold-causing viruses. So it's unlikely to have herd immunity against this type of a coronavirus.
There is still power in numbers, especially the previously infected and vaccinated ones.
It's harder for this virus to be able to cause severe disease hospitalization and death at the rate that it once did, because it's increasingly running into people who have immunity against those severe outcomes.
But it will probably require reinforcing that immunity, like with vaccines.
This is a protection that we're going to have to renew periodically.
So we can verify no.
So the notion of herd immunity has been largely put aside at the moment.
What about another COVID-19 buzzword, endemic? That's when a virus is still very present, but at levels we can expect and try to manage, kind of like the seasonal flu. There's no official cutoff to say whether we've moved from pandemic to endemic, but doctors do not think we will ever fully be rid of COVID-19 in our lifetimes. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
As prices at the pump inch up, drivers want more bang for their buck from their car. Could it really be as simple as switching to the eco mode some cars have? Let's verify. Does a car's eco mode guarantee money savings on gas? Our source is Tiffany Wright with AAA and Cars.com. Now, Cars.com says many modern cars and SUVs have eco modes. Basically, it reduces how quickly a car accelerates and how quickly it shifts gears.
The eco mode, what it's designed to do is really to make your car more efficient, make that technology, if you will, more efficient while you are in fact using the car.
Wright says using eco mode can also train drivers to drive more conservatively.
It's not pushing a magical button that's going to say, hey, I'm saving a ton of fuel right now, I'm going to save a ton of money. We all know that driver habits override any kind of technology that we have in our vehicles. So if you do have that lead foot, eco mode's not going to help you one bit.
So we can verify, no, eco mode won't guarantee money savings on gas, especially if you're not changing bad driving habits. But Wright says it won't hurt to use that option if you have it. With your Verify, I'm Vanessa Rufus.
Welcome back to DBL. New technology to stop online scammers might not be enough to protect yourself from identity theft. It's time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. So consumers continue to let their guard down when dealing with email, texting, and social media. So please choose a password that's difficult to unscramble and change it often. Be wary of saving your information through payment apps and social media, and do not fall victim to suspicious texts, emails, and phone calls. If your information has been breached, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. So go ahead and call 1-800-953-0836 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. I appreciate LifeLock, of course, but it's another thing of being like, it's just a lot of being on guard a lot of the time.
But I'm going to tell you, I've been using LifeLock for 5 years now, and it's nice to know that you're alerted to things that are happening. Like, I mean, I just threw my husband a party, and they were like, there's some suspicious activity, and I was like, yes, I'm a suspicious wife.
Trying not to get caught here. Can you please not ruin it? Hopefully he's not on that email thread or that text thread. He's like, what was this $5,000 party?
Oh man, and it was a good party. Just me, I just wanted to say, when the first 4 shooting stories on the evening news involve 4 different public shootings, you know there are way too many guns in the hands of way too many crazies. So appreciate you writing us in. DBL is new every day. We will see you same time, same place tomorrow. Again, grateful you're here.